I got a Hey Girlie text message on my honeymoon. From my sister, now my parents are calling me cruel for cutting her off. I got married on a Saturday. By Tuesday afternoon, I had ended my marriage. By Friday, I'd cut my sister out of my life. The next month, I'd stopped paying my parents' mortgage. According to my entire family, I'm a bitter, unforgiving woman who's destroying everyone's lives because I can't let one mistake go. I call it consequences. To understand why, I have to explain what it was like growing up as the older sister of the most beautiful girl in the room. My name is Rachel. I'm 32. My sister, Olivia, is 28. From the day Olivia was born, everyone knew she was beautiful. Not the kind of pretty where people politely compliment a baby, the kind that made strangers stop my parents in grocery stores just to gush over her. By the time she was 6, local photographers were asking if she'd modeled before. At 10, she'd already been in children's clothing catalogs. By 13, my parents had convinced themselves they were raising the next Adriana Lima. Everything revolved around Olivia. Pageants, dance lessons, modeling workshops, acting classes, professional photo shoots, trips to auditions. If Olivia wanted something, she got it. If Olivia failed at something, it wasn't her fault. The judges were jealous. The agency didn't know talent. They'll regret passing on you. My parents treated every rejection like Hollywood had made a catastrophic mistake. Meanwhile, there was me, the older daughter, the average-looking one, the quiet one. I wasn't ugly, I just wasn't Olivia. At family gatherings, relatives would pinch Olivia's cheeks and say she'd be famous someday. Then they'd turn to me and ask if I could grab more drinks from the kitchen. I learned very early that no one noticed me unless they needed something. Eventually, I stopped trying to compete. If I couldn't be the beautiful daughter, I'd become the smart one. While Olivia practiced runway walks in the living room, I buried myself in textbooks. While my parents spent thousands on acting coaches, I stayed after school studying in the library. No one had to tell me education was my only way out. I figured it out myself. I earned scholarships, graduated at the top of my class, got into law school, worked 2 jobs while studying because my parents insisted they couldn't help me financially. We've invested so much in Olivia's career already. Funny how there was always money for another modeling portfolio, but never enough for my laptop for school or textbooks. I survived anyway. 3 years later, I passed the bar. Within 5 years, I was working at one of the biggest corporate law firms in the city. The salary was life-changing. For me, for my parents, for Olivia. Because the moment I started making real money, guess who everyone suddenly remembered existed? Mom cried when I bought them a new SUV. Dad hugged me when I paid off their debts. When I surprised them by covering the down payment on a smaller, easier-to-maintain house after Dad retired early, they told everyone in the family how proud they were of me. For the first time in my life, I felt seen. I should have realized I wasn't the only one noticing the shift. Olivia noticed too, and she hated it. By 28, Olivia still wasn't famous, or even close. She'd done a few regional ads, a handful of social media campaigns, one background role in a TV commercial where you could barely see her. That was it. She bounced from audition to audition, always insisting her big break was just around the corner. Every real job was beneath her. Receptionist? No. Retail? I'm not wasting my face folding clothes. Office work? I'm meant for bigger things. So I helped, because despite everything, she was still my little sister. I paid her rent, her car insurance, her phone bill, even gave her a monthly allowance. I told myself I was giving her time to figure things out. In reality, I was enabling her. The more I helped, the more entitled she became. If I was a day late sending money, she'd text me things like, "Would you like for me to grovel and beg you, Rachel?" Not "thank you," not "could you help," just expectation. Still, I loved her. She was my sister. I didn't realize she started resenting me for my success. Then I met Daniel. He was funny, grounded, kind. He didn't care that I was a lawyer. He cared that I laughed at his terrible jokes. After 1 year together, he proposed. And for once, the spotlight wasn't no longer on Olivia, it was on me. My coworkers threw me an engagement party. My friends celebrated me. Even extended family kept asking about wedding plans instead of Olivia's latest audition. I guess that's what tipped her over the edge. I'd catch Olivia's watching me with this tight smile whenever someone congratulated me. I ignored it. I thought she was just feeling left out. I had no idea she was planning to make sure I never enjoyed another happy moment again. Looking back now, the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. Olivia suddenly became very interested in my wedding, not because she wanted to help, because she wanted to be involved in everything. She insisted on coming to every cake tasting, every dress fitting, every meeting with the florist. Whenever someone complimented my dress, she'd somehow redirect the conversation. Mine would probably be something more fitted. If I ever get married, I'd definitely do a destination wedding. I'd probably get signed by an agency before then anyway, so maybe it'll end up in Vogue. Everyone would laugh, I would laugh, too. I told myself, that's just Olivia. Then there was Daniel. At first, he couldn't stand her. He'd whisper on the drive home, "Your sister has never heard the word no, has she?" I'd laugh, "Nope." But after a while, something changed. He stopped complaining. Then he started defending her. "She's not that bad. I think people judge her too harshly. She just hasn't found her place yet." I thought he was simply trying to get along with my family. I never imagined anything else. About 4 months before the wedding, Olivia started dropping by our apartment. A lot. Sometimes she'd text first, sometimes she wouldn't. I was in the neighborhood. I just wanted coffee. I missed you guys. She'd stay for hours. Sometimes I had to work late at the office, and Daniel would tell me she had left only 10 minutes before I got home. She kept me company. I didn't think twice about it. She was my sister. He was my fiancé. Who worries about something like that? Apparently, women whose instincts are sharper than mine. One evening, I came home early because a client meeting had been canceled. I remember opening the apartment door and hearing laughter from the kitchen. Daniel and Olivia were standing close together, looking at something on his phone. When they saw me, they jumped, not dramatically, just enough that I noticed. "Oh," Olivia smiled. "You're home early." Daniel quickly locked his phone. "Meeting got canceled?" "Yeah." There was a strange silence. Then Olivia grabbed her purse. "I should get going." She kissed my cheek and left. After the door closed, I asked Daniel what they were laughing about. He shrugged. "Just stupid videos." I accepted that answer, because trusting the people you love isn't stupidity. It's normal. The stupid part was believing that trust couldn't be abused. The wedding itself was beautiful. Almost 500 guests. My parents insisted on inviting everyone they'd ever met. The venue looked like something from a movie. White roses everywhere, crystal chandeliers, a live string quartet. I paid for nearly all of it. Not because I wanted some extravagant wedding, because my parents said, this is the wedding our family deserves. Between the venue, catering, decorations, and everything else, I spent nearly $80,000. The funny part? Olivia contributed exactly zero, but she still managed to complain that the bridesmaid dresses weren't flattering enough. The morning of the wedding, Olivia walked into the bridal suite wearing a white silk robe she'd bought for herself. Mine was ivory, hers was bright white. Even my makeup artist looked confused. "You know the bride usually wears the white one," Olivia laughed. "Oh, please. It's just a robe." When the photographer started taking getting ready pictures, Olivia somehow ended up in almost every frame. If I was opening champagne, she was beside me. If my bridesmaids surrounded me, Olivia squeezed into the middle. At one point, my maid of honor actually pulled me aside. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Does your sister always try this hard to be the center of attention?" I sighed. "You have no idea." She looked uncomfortable. "I don't want to upset you before your wedding. But I've caught her flirting with Daniel twice today." I actually laughed. Olivia flirts with everybody. "No," she said quietly. "I mean really flirting." I shook my head. "You're reading too much into it." She didn't argue. I wish she had. At the reception, Olivia gave a speech. No one had asked her to. She simply stood up, took the microphone from the DJ, and announced she wanted to say something. She spent almost 10 minutes talking. For the first 5, she talked almost entirely about herself. How hard it had been sharing me with Daniel. How she'd always been the prettier sister. How she'd never expected me to settle down first. Everyone laughed awkwardly. I remember feeling embarrassed. Daniel just stared into his champagne glass. Then she ended with, "But Rachel, I'm happy you finally found someone who loves you as much as our family does." People clapped. I smiled for the cameras. Inside, something felt wrong. Not enough to ruin my day, just enough to leave a knot in my stomach. It wasn't until much later that I realized Daniel never looked at me during her speech. He looked at Olivia the entire time. I just never noticed. The next morning, we left for our honeymoon. I remember leaning against Daniel on the plane and thinking, we made it. Everything I'd worked so hard for. Every lonely night studying, every sacrifice, every family disappointment. It had all led me here. I finally had my career, my marriage, my future. I couldn't have been more wrong. Because 3 days later, my phone buzzed. The sender was Olivia. The message contained only 2 words. "Hey Girlie," followed by a red heart emoji. Then another message came through. "Open the folder." My blood ran cold. I stared at her message for almost a full minute. "Open the folder." There was an iCloud link underneath. I've heard enough about these types of messages to know it meant trouble. Then I thought maybe she'd put together some kind of wedding photo album, or she'd found pictures from guests before the photographer had sent ours. I calmed down, smiled even. Why would I even go there? She's my sister, for God's sake. Then I noticed the folder's name. Just a reminder that you will never compare to me. A strange feeling settled in my stomach again. I tapped it. There were over 30 files, screenshots, photos, videos, voice recordings, hotel confirmations. My pulse started racing. I opened the first screenshot. It was a text conversation. Daniel, Olivia. The messages began about 5 months before the wedding. Olivia, I can't believe Rachel still thinks you're perfect. Daniel, don't say that. Olivia, why? It's true. Daniel, you're going to get us caught. Olivia, maybe I want us to get caught. This had to be fake. Maybe she'd edited them. Maybe it was some sick joke. I opened another. Daniel, I shouldn't be doing this. Olivia, then stop kissing me. Daniel, you know I can't. My hands started shaking. I whispered it out loud. No, no, no. I opened another screenshot. Another. The flirting turned into sexting. The sexting turned into planning hotel meetups. Then came a photo. Daniel, shirtless, standing in a hotel bathroom I'd never seen before. He was smiling at the camera. The caption underneath read, Room 814. Hurry. My vision blurred. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. Then I opened the videos. The first one was only 12 seconds long. Olivia had obviously recorded it herself. She was lying in bed. Daniel was asleep beside her. His face was unmistakable. She slowly turned the camera toward herself, smiled, then whispered, Guess who's marrying my sister? The video ended. I couldn't breathe. I dropped my phone onto the hotel bed as if it had burned me. Another notification. Emily, again. Keep going. I should have thrown the phone into the ocean. Instead, I kept scrolling. There were hotel receipts, restaurant reservations, Uber confirmations, photos of the two of them holding hands, a receipt dated 3 nights before my bridal shower, another. The weekend I'd flown out of town for a conference. Every time I trusted him, he'd been with her. I didn't realize I was crying until tears started dripping onto the phone screen. Not loud sobbing, just silent tears. The hotel room suddenly felt too small, too quiet, too beautiful. Outside, the ocean sparkled under the afternoon sun. Inside, everything I'd believed about my life had just shattered. At that exact moment, the door opened. Daniel walked in carrying 2 frozen drinks. He smiled. I booked us that sunset cruise. I looked at him. Really looked at him. The man I'd promised forever to just 3 days earlier. The man who'd stood in front of our families, looked me in the eyes, and vowed to love only me. The man who had apparently been sleeping with my sister for months. He noticed my face immediately. Rachel? I slowly picked up my phone. Without saying a word, I turned the screen toward him. The hotel room went completely silent. His smile vanished. The color drained from his face. His eyes moved from the screen, to me, then back again. For nearly 10 seconds. Neither of us spoke. Finally, he whispered just one word. Rachel? I stood up. You have exactly 1 chance. My voice was strangely calm. Tell me that every single thing in this folder is fake. He opened his mouth, closed it, ran a hand through his hair, then looked down at the floor. That tiny movement told me everything before he even spoke. I can explain. My heart didn't break, it hardened, because people who are innocent deny. People who are guilty explain. Daniel stared at my phone for what felt like an eternity. His face went completely white. His mouth opened once, then closed again. He looked from the videos to me and back to the screen, like somehow, if he blinked enough, they'd disappear. Rachel, I laughed. Not because anything was funny, because I'd reached that point where crying wasn't enough anymore. Go ahead, I said. Tell me it's fake. Tell me Olivia edited the videos. His eyes stayed glued to the floor. I made a mistake. Those pathetic words, months of lies, years together, a wedding, a honeymoon. Reduced to, I made a mistake. A mistake, I repeated. You accidentally took your clothes off? He winced. You accidentally slept with my sister? Rachel, please, no, explain it to me. He rubbed his face with both hands. It only happened a few times. Emily's messages flashed through my mind. We've been doing this since before the engagement. She'll never know. The dates, the hotels, the photos. You still think lying will save you? His head snapped up. What? You said a few times. I unlocked my phone again and scrolled. Olivia kept receipts. I held the phone in front of him, hotel bookings, screenshots, photos, videos, voice notes, every disgusting little souvenir she'd proudly collected. His shoulders collapsed. It started before we got engaged. There it was, the truth. Not because he wanted to tell me, because he realized he couldn't lie anymore. I felt something inside me quietly die. When? He didn't answer. When? About 8 months before the proposal. I stared at him. You proposed to me while you were sleeping with my sister. I'm sorry. You stood in front of everyone we love and promised to honor me while you were sleeping with my sister. I'm sorry. You watched me cry because wedding planning was stressing me out while you were texting Olivia behind my back. I'm sorry. Everything was. I'm sorry. Never an explanation, never accountability, just those empty words. I loved you. He started crying. I know. No. I shook my head. I don't think you do. If you loved someone, you don't destroy them for excitement. He tried to reach for my hand. I stepped back. Don't touch me. His hand froze in the air. I swear it meant nothing. I actually laughed. There it is. The world's dumbest sentence. You betrayed your wife for over a year, but somehow it meant nothing? I don't know why I did it. I do. He looked confused. Because you could. Silence. Because you thought I'd never find out. More silence. I walked into the bedroom and quietly began packing my suitcase. He followed me. What are you doing? I'm leaving. We can fix this. No. Please, Rachel. No. I'll do therapy. No. It'll never happen again. I zipped my suitcase shut. You should have done that before you married me. He fell to his knees, actually fell, begging, crying, holding on to my suitcase. Please don't leave me. I looked down at the man I'd imagined spending the rest of my life with, and I felt nothing, no love, no hope, no desire to save us, just exhaustion. You already left me. I gently pulled my suitcase away. You just forgot to tell me. I flew home alone, longest flight of my life. Everyone around me looked happy, couples held hands, families laughed. Meanwhile, I was deleting every wedding photo from my phone one by one because looking at them made me physically sick. By the time I landed, I'd already called a divorce attorney. Being a lawyer has one advantage. I knew exactly what needed to happen next. Daniel was served before the week was over. He called, blocked, he emailed, blocked, his parents called, blocked. Flowers arrived at my apartment, straight into the dumpster. Then came Olivia. 23 missed calls, 37 text messages. Most started with fake apologies. Then came the excuses. I don't know what came over me. I guess my parents made her send them. Finally came the real Olivia. You're seriously throwing away your whole family over a guy? I stared at the message for a full minute. Then I replied with exactly one sentence. No, I'm throwing away the people who betrayed me. Then I blocked her. Permanently. 2 days later, my mother showed up at my apartment. Not to comfort me, not to apologize, to negotiate. Rachel, I didn't invite her inside. Your sister made a terrible mistake. I almost smiled. There it is. What? The script. What script? She made a mistake. Mom frowned. She did. No. I looked her straight in the eyes. She made hundreds of choices. Mom sighed dramatically. Rachel, she's still your sister. And family forgives. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So if I'd slept with Dad, would you be asking him to forgive me? Her face went pale. That's different. No, it isn't. It's only different because I'm the one who got hurt. She looked offended. How dare you compare? How dare you ask me to forgive someone who spent months sleeping with my husband? She looked away. Olivia is devastated. I actually laughed. That's a lie, and you know it. Mom stared at me like she'd never seen me before. Rachel, leave. You're overreacting. There it was, the sentence that summarized my childhood. Every time Olivia ruined something that belonged to me. Every time Olivia broke something, every time she lied, every time she stole. Don't overreact. She's younger. She didn't mean it. Be the bigger person. I was always expected to be mature. Olivia was always allowed to be selfish. Not anymore. A week later, my father called. I think you're punishing everyone. I disagree. Olivia needs help. Then help her. You've always supported her. Not anymore. Silence. Rachel, I paid her tuition. Silence. I paid her rent. Silence. I bought her first car. Silence. I helped with her modeling portfolio. Silence. I covered her credit card debt twice. Silence. And she sleeps with my fiancé? I'm done. Dad sighed. She's your family. And what exactly have I been? He didn't answer. You only remember I'm family when you need something from me. More silence. Then, she'll have nothing without you. I closed my eyes. That's no longer my problem. Click. Blocked. For years, I'd been paying Olivia's bills because my parents always had another excuse. Her modeling career is about to take off. She just needs one more chance. She's trying. Every month, there was another emergency, another unpaid rent, another maxed out credit card, another audition, another dream. And every month I helped because she was my sister. I thought loyalty went both ways. I was wrong. The day after I blocked my parents, I canceled every automatic payment, every allowance, every subscription, everything. For the first time in almost 6 years, Emily had to pay her own bills. The divorce was surprisingly quick. Daniel didn't contest anything. His lawyer even admitted his client knew there was no coming back from what he'd done. He sent one final letter, not asking for reconciliation, just saying he'd regret it for the rest of his life. I threw it away unread after the first paragraph. Regret changes nothing. 3 months later, I accepted a partnership opportunity at a law firm in another city. Fresh start, new apartment, new co-workers, new routines, no memories on every street corner, no restaurants where Daniel had taken me, no cafes where Emily and I used to laugh. I changed my number, closed my old social media, started therapy, started running, started sleeping again. For the first time in years, my life became peaceful. Not happy, not yet, but peaceful. There's a difference. Every few weeks, I'd receive an email from one of my parents from a new address. Hasn't it been long enough? You're punishing everyone for one person's mistakes. She's still your sister. Family is supposed to forgive each other. I never replied, because finally, I understood something. They weren't trying to keep the family together. If they were, they would have protected it before it fell apart. They wouldn't villainize me after everything she did, but they wouldn't dare because she's their precious star. They were trying to restore the version of the family that benefited them. The version where I paid the bills, where I solved everyone's problems, where I forgave everything, where Olivia never had to face consequences. I refused to become that person again. So every new email met the same fate. Blocked, deleted. About 8 months after I moved away, I ran into someone from my hometown at a legal conference. We chatted over coffee. Eventually, she hesitated. I don't know if you still talk to your family. I don't. Oh. She looked relieved. I wasn't sure if I should tell you. Tell me what? She lowered her voice. Olivia's life kind of imploded. Apparently, after I stopped funding her life, Olivia became desperate to keep up the glamorous image she'd built online. She'd met a man claiming to be a movie producer. He promised he could land her a lead role in a major film. All she had to do was invest in herself and him. Pay for acting workshops, travel, wardrobe, professional reels, networking events. He convinced her that spending money now would make her famous later. So she borrowed, maxed out credit cards. Then, when that wasn't enough, she stole from my parents, small amounts at first, then larger ones, money from savings, jewelry, even forged my father's signature to take out a loan against an account he rarely checked. By the time they realized what she'd done, the money was gone. And so was the producer. He'd disappeared, phone disconnected, fake company, fake office, fake everything. To make matters worse, Olivia discovered she was pregnant. The man vanished before she could even tell him. My parents spent everything they had trying to clean up the financial mess, sold investments, borrowed from relatives, refinanced their home. The retirement they'd spent decades saving for was practically gone. I listened quietly. The woman across from me finally asked, "How do you feel?" I thought about it for a long time. Did I feel happy? No, I wasn't celebrating a pregnancy or financial ruin. But did I feel sorry? Also no. Mostly, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Closure. For my entire life, I'd watched my parents rescue Olivia from every consequence, every bad decision, every selfish choice, every lie. This time, there was no Rachel left to save her. And suddenly everyone else had to live with the person I'd known all along. Karma didn't arrive because I wished for it. It arrived because for once, no one was standing in the way. The acquaintance hesitated. I heard your parents were trying to reach out to you for help. I smiled politely. They won't. Sometimes people think revenge is dramatic, that it means screaming, public humiliation, making someone suffer, but the greatest revenge I ever got wasn't something I did. It was walking away, building a life where none of them had access to me anymore. They lost the daughter who loved them unconditionally, the sister who always cleaned up everyone else's mess, the paycheck they took for granted, and I gained something far more valuable: peace. I still think about what Olivia did sometimes. Certain songs still remind me of my wedding. Certain beaches remind me of opening that message on what was supposed to be the happiest trip of my life. Some scars don't disappear. They just stop bleeding. Do I forgive them? No. Maybe one day I'll stop being angry. Maybe I already have. But forgiveness isn't owed simply because someone shares your blood. Family is supposed to be the people who protect your heart. Mine broke it, and if cutting them off makes me the villain in their version of the story, I'm finally okay with that.